Hey there.
Hi, Jesse. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, just as busy as ever, but doing
Yeah,
well. Yeah.
good. Maintaining through all of the craziness that is the holidays.
And then some, surprisingly. Yes.
That's impressive.
I still wonder where I sleep, but I know I sleep somewhere, somehow.
Yes, I get that. We've had the flu running through our house, so we are on the tail end of it, and that's always fun. So there's not been a whole lot of sleep over here either.
Oh my. It is that time of the year. Even though there's no snow, I don't understand how it's still flu season. Because normally
Right?
that it normally associates with snow, but apparently not.
I know. I don't know. So excuse me as I cough in the mic.
Ah, no worries.
It's it's been a good time. So long time no chat, it feels like, but I'm excited to be on here.
It has been. I know I sent you an email a couple times for follow-ups and stuff, but I know you're busy doing the whole mom thing and the business and all that other stuff. Oh, I'm recording this now, so it'll be up on YouTube. So whatever we talk about, we talk about it. It can be show related, not show related, whatever you want to
Okay.
talk about. Um, but yeah, it seems like that time flew. I'm not gonna lie, the time flew by,
It
and
yes, it did. It felt short in some times, but then there were other times where I was like, oh my gosh, that's coming up. Holy crap.
I felt the same way. I'm like, wait a second. I'm like, I'm already at the end of the year. I'm like, I have 3 shows left till 2022. It doesn't feel right. It just feels like it just starting out on this when it's already close to 8 months already.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
craziness.
It's And they say time flies when you're having fun. I'm gonna pretend I've had some fun, but I will say that it's been a bit of a proverbial shit show on some days, that's for sure.
Well, I had my fair share of shit shows as well. But there have been some good days, and the good days just fly by. You
Yeah.
wake up, it's already nighttime. It's like, okay, what happened to that day? And I'm trying to figure it out. But it's with this going on, the new book, I have 2 books coming out soon. So I'm busy
Nice.
getting those ready. And uh, the one is still in editing. I'm still nitpicking over a little word here, a little word there, and making sure it flows. Uh, and then the next book, I'm hoping to release in January for the
Awesome.
first. So I'm looking to get that done. Did you get your copy of your books? Did you get a
I
chance?
did. I was gonna say, are these two new ones in addition to the ones that I read? I loved the crypto book.
Really?
I did because it's something that's very interesting to me.
Okay.
And I really liked how it was laid out,
Oh,
honestly. And so I liked that there were little fact blurbs because there was verbiage in there that I'm like, I kind of know what that is, but I don't exactly know what that is. So the fact that a lot of those facts were like X means blah blah blah. I'm like, oh, thank you. I do know what that is.
yeah, I found that is the easiest way uh to introduce this stuff, especially with the first book that you got. I did the same thing with that, but with the examples and whatnot. And crypto and with me being an IT person and stuff, I can talk like way up here, but if you can talk down here, you really understand what's going on. It's the whole level thing. So that's what I did. I exactly what I set out to do. I decrypted the cryptocurrency for people. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, I did, and it's it's like you know it if you can teach it, right? So
Right.
it was from a former teacher's perspective. I was like, this is great. This is helpful. It's like in a textbook when you have vocabulary at the beginning. I loved it. I always love to know what I'm reading before I read it.
Well, that's good because I'm gonna drop a little hint here. We'll see who actually listens. The next book is NFTs.
Even better.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
But yes, I'll definitely get you a copy of that once it's out. That is the one that's actually being edited right now. And I just want to make sure I get everything else. Plus, I added some new things in the end of the chapter. So
Okay.
you thought it was good then. I took quite a bit of people's advice and I changed up the end of the chapter a little bit, so it's going to really give you that sense that you understood what you read.
Yes, I love that. That's That's genius because crypto was one thing for me to try and wrap my head around. And then I tried to wrap my head around NFTs and I was like, I'm done. I'm done. I'm just not at that level yet. So knowing what you did with the crypto book, I'm excited for the NFT one.
Good, because a lot of the stuff that's in the NFT book, that the new book coming out, you have to have the basics in the crypto book because
Hmm.
as you know from reading it, it builds on each other. So if you don't have those fundamentals, I can write you that book and make it so. Well, I hate that word "so" anymore. It's really overused. It's like a little pet peeve of mine that I've been noticing. Uh, Wild tangent, but I can explain everything in that book in the book, the new book, but it's going to be twice the size, and people don't want that. I can understand because myself reading a book, I like 30K, I like the 35K, 50. We're getting into textbook size things, and nobody wants to carry that thing around.
No, people like short, easy reads is what they want. They want something quick. Everybody says, as you have a word, I can't stand the word busy. So everybody's busy. But so they want something quick that they can absorb quickly. And I think that's great that you're chunking it up like that.
Thank you, and I'll continue to keep doing that as well. From now till whenever the books stop, which I don't see anytime soon because I have the next. I honestly have 10 books total lined up in the
Nice.
series, so it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, that's great. Well, there's a lot there, and there's still so much more developing on that side of the world and side of technology that, I can imagine that you could have several books and then probably have more come up as time passes on. There will be other things that people want to learn about.
Oh, absolutely. I've been finding that out a lot, and right now it's like the shuffling part of the books. I'm
Hmm.
shuffling. I'm like, well, I was going to release this one, but people are wanting this book. I'm like, oh, well, I don't really want to write that book right now, but I got to keep in mind it's like who am I selling the book to, and who wants it now, and why do they want it? So
Yeah.
I'm doing that a lot, and the show is definitely. Thank you for being part of the show first and foremost.
Yeah,
Um, is
absolutely.
I'm finding I'm taking a little bit more away from the books by doing the show, but it's one-on-one and it's actual people talking about it.
Yeah, and it's kind of a give and take, right? So obviously where your focus goes is where your energy's at, right? Or
Right.
what is it? Where your focus goes, your energy flows. Is that what the little
Yeah.
catchphrase is? But so but I don't think that's bad. You're getting perspectives, and I think that's
Mhm.
probably important to have, especially with your writing books like on stuff that is what I would consider like very entry level, which is what I need
Right.
for my type of perspective.
Well, when I was doing research and looking at the books out there aren't entry level. They say they're for beginners. I'm like, okay, I need to get this dictionary, I need this thesaurus, this book, and this book over here, and the class on top of that to learn it. What's in
Mhm.
the book you're trying to read? I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. And the basics of the show and the books is, I'm like, I'll give you the knowledge. You decide what to do with it. It's
Yeah,
like,
and that's, for me, it's just like, I've dabbled in it and stuff, and I'm like, okay, so I'll invest in crypto or I'll do this. I really don't know what I'm doing,
mhm.
but it was nice to read that book and be like, oh, this all makes a little bit more sense now. How Bitcoin works and how the other, coins and tokens and all of that fit in there. I mean, there was a lot of new terms where I thought I could probably like do my own assignment on this too.
Well, yeah, it's an ever changing world.
Mhm.
All of this is, and a lot of people that I've been finding, even with the shows, and I've been finding my friends have been listening to the show, and
Oh,
it's
good.
been crazy. It's like, well, why were you talking about this, or this, about,
Mhm.
and they catch me completely off guard. I'm like, so you heard the show? I'm like,
Holy cow, you guys are listening. Thanks.
yeah. And the weird part about it was they're not on my social media. They're not part of the books or anything that I haven't talked to some of these people in over 10 years or 15 years from college and high school. I'm like, Okay, well, what else? Then I take that, and then I've been capitalizing on it to do. It's like, okay, so you like this about the show. What don't you like, and what do you want to see?
Right.
Boom, write it down, do this, do that. And I'm sure you do that with your personal coaching as well.
Yeah. Getting that feedback is pretty important because you can't do anything if you don't know you're doing something wrong, or you should try something different unless you ask someone. So it's not going to change otherwise, but it's that feedback's super important. And I enjoy it because I like to see one, everybody likes to see what they're doing well, right? And you're like, cool, I'm doing this great. But then those other points are great too, because like I love to learn. Obviously I was a former teacher, so like by trade, learning is what I did for years, and then teaching it. So I like to learn those new things and expand my own brain and my own business and mindset and all that. I like to do all of those things, so I like to get that feedback.
Nice. Yeah, I feel uh, as much as I didn't know I was gonna like doing this, the more and more I'm doing it, I'm liking it. Just
Mhm.
like you're doing the learning and stuff. I'm relearning a lot of the things my mentors taught me, and it's like, okay, now I'm putting it with new stuff, but I put a spin on it. It's like, okay, well, this works, and this kind of doesn't work on my aspect. I'm like, well, maybe it will work for you, and this is the why and how if it does work.
Right.
So
And that's what I find interesting is, so obviously I'm not in the radio or podcast space or anything like that, other than like right in this moment. Other than that, I'm just kind of on the Instagram and doing stuff my own way. But what I find interesting is how those things circle back, and then how that growth just ends up happening, and you're just sitting there and you're like, wait, this actually works. This is how this is supposed to happen. But my particular space, being an online coach, is
Hello, hello.
very hi.
oh, hey, Josh, that's our engineer.
Hey there, how's everybody doing today?
Good.
I'm doing great.
Excellent. Let's do a quick sound check with everybody. Magnus, if you'll start, come back in
Sure.
5, please.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Thank you very much. And is it Jesse?
Yes.
Yeah, if you'll do the same for me, please.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
All right, Jesse. Just keep in mind, because you're kind of in a little bit more of an open environment using that headset mic. If the conversation tends to get personal, people will bring down the volume of their voice and kind of start to talk a little bit softer. So just make sure that you're talking full volume if we get into a personal spot. And then also make sure that if your cell phone is anywhere nearby, it's set to silent or airplane mode, because vibrate will get picked up by the microphone. And then if you
Okay,
like
I'll
me
do
and
that.
talk with your hands, be mindful if you hit anything in front of you or hit your chest at all, we'll hear that loudly in your microphone. So just be mindful of that as we go through.
Okay, I'll try not to do any of those things. I do have my 5-year-old just right on the other side of the screen today. So if you hear random noises, it's probably him.
It's okay. It makes better entertainment that way.
We got
He's
about
on
a
the
minute. We will be
VR.
live.
Oh,
He's on the VR. So, if that means he can't see what he's doing. So, he will randomly run into the corner of the desk, and I'm like, okay, are you all right? It's good times. But I was trying to like go through all of my area of things. So, like, what do you want to play with for like the
All
next
right. We got
hour?
about 20 seconds. Once you hear that music, we are live.
already.
Um,
Okay. Wow.
Please. Ready, set. You ready?
Yes. I'm ecstatic for this. Uh
Welcome to Making More Money for You with Magnus Carter. Whether you feel that you don't have enough money to start investing or are under the preconceived notion that investing is only for the wealthy, Magnus and his expert guests are here to help you. Now here is your host, Magnus Carter.
Hi everybody. Welcome to the Making More Money for You show. I'm your host, Magnus Carter. Last week we had a wonderful and a very storytelling episode last week with Alina Fernandez about from the Positive Mom. It was wonderful to see how she transformed her life and how she's actually empowering other moms, single mom families to do the same by taking ownership of what they're doing and knowing that there is help. One, there's help out there. Two, anything is possible as long as you try to put a little bit towards that and also keep the rest of the ship running. And that kind of brings me to today. Even though it's already the second week of December, and I'm counting down the days to the end of the year. I'm sure as everybody else is, and also for Christmas. But this month is actually very jam packed with a lot of content and a lot of quite a few special guests that I have. And this week is no differently. I have Jesse Clark, from the founder of Beautiful Badass Life Coaching and Apparel, and we're going to talk a lot about personal branding, what it is to be like a single mom owning a business, and also building and owning a personal brand. Jesse, welcome to the show.
Hi, Magnus. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited too, because branding is such a tricky subject. And when I was doing research on this, there's actually I want to get started in the branding process and what it actually takes to build a personal brand, because later on, and I didn't plan this at all, is I have another branding show at the end of the year, is the last part of the year, with
Nice.
Justine Progowski from $1 Million Branders. So this is perfect and a beautiful way to start and keep the momentum going and winding down this the end of year with a bang, honestly. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, why you actually decided to go into business for yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. My how I'm here story. So just kind of the shortened version maybe is started back in 2018. And I very unexpectedly lost my mother. And she passed away. And so at that time I had a 7-year-old and he was 6 months old, 8 months old. So, and then, I was still married at that point, but, so that kind of started this inner search, because it hit a rock bottom real hard for me, after my mom passed. And so as I started really taking a look at what I was doing and, how I wanted to live my life, because my mom was 54, and so here I am, early 30s at that point. And I'm like, that's not too much older than me. Like, what am I doing? Mom had a lot of life left and it's gone, and it just really opened up a new perspective for me. So as I started this journey of, personal growth is where it all started. I got to where I wasn't super happy, like with my career choice at that point. I was a special education teacher, love the field, hate the politics of education right now. So I ended up, and so as I went on this journey and I figured out that this person that I had been, that I felt that I was supposed to be, this wonderful wife and mother that did everything that everybody wanted, that was appeasing and trying to be the Pinterest mom and doing all of this stuff. Well, deep inside of me, like I could feel this other person, and she was absolutely screaming, like, what the hell are you doing? Why are we doing this? This is not who we are. And so as I started to let that person out a little bit more and grow, I eventually outgrew my marriage, and that ended obviously in a divorce. And then I became a single mom with 2 kids. And the same year, it was the spring of 2020. Hello, COVID. Thank you for everything. If you
keeps giving.
Right. And if y'all are just listening, that was dripping with sarcasm in case you didn't hear it. But I had quit my job as a teacher. I didn't have another profession lined up. I had nothing else coming. I was getting a divorce, and I now had to maintain a household and feed 2 kids with absolutely no idea of an income. And it was like, oh shit. What am I going to do? I've got 2 kids to provide for. I don't want to lose our home. This has been their home for their entire life, and so I started dabbling in some like little contract type work. And then as I was talking to some of my friends about what, how far I've come and how it's just amazing to me how at peace I was, even not having that income, going through divorce and, all of these things, but I was still at such peace because I was finally being me. I was being myself. I was using my voice. I wasn't letting people walk all over me. I was, I didn't care if I was the Pinterest mom anymore. You know what? If Sarah's mom is out there making homemade Valentine's baskets for the class, kudos to Sarah's mom. I love you, but I'm not going to be that kind of person. That's just not who I am. And so as I kept going, I kept the phrase beautiful badass life just kept rolling over and over and came out of my mouth a few times. And so I thought, there's no reason. I know I'm not the only one that's been through hardship, mom or not, female or not, that is just like, I know I'm not meant to live in despair and misery and depression. That's just not what life is supposed to be at all. And so it started with a journal. I created a daily journal, and put it for sale. And from there, I just went on and did shirts. And now I have coaching, and it's just, I started at a complete 180 from where I am right now. It's, I'm a leather jacket wearing, short haired, sassy, curse like a sailor mom. And that's not who I was 4 years ago. So that personal brand really grew as I did. And so now I'm very solid in that personal brand because I know exactly who I am and who I want to be. And I just want everybody else to feel that.
Okay. Wow, that's very impressive. So when we're deciding on a personal brand and we're thinking about doing the branding in a business and all that fun, happy stuff and all the legal garbage that comes with it, that's a completely different show right now. But getting the seeds and starting this. So for your brand to be true, you became what you wanted to emulate on your brand. Am I correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. Otherwise I feel like my brand would not be true. It would be almost a lie. I don't want to project or say this is the kind of life you can have if I can't embody it, because if I can't do it, I'm not gonna say that you can do this or whatever, because I want to try it, know it works, so that I can tell you all I've done it. It works, and you can have that too.
Okay. Now, is the reason you got into the apparel business is that kind of like a constant reminder when you see it, when you wear it and whatnot, to be that person and not what's the word I'm looking for, is deviate and try to figure out something else out, but it's not like you're stuck there, but you know where you need to be.
Yeah, very much so, because there are days where you wake up and you do not feel like a badass. You do not feel like you wake up and you're like, oh, I got to try and do this again today. So yes, constant reminders. I use one of my little, I use the rock on sign, the skeleton hand, for a lot of my branding. And so like, I have that on my desk, I use it as a bookmark in my personal development book I'm reading, just these little anchors to kind of remind me that you started somewhere 4 years ago, or I started somewhere 4 years ago, and I've come this far, and it's possible. And you do have to make a choice, because it's very easy to slip. And it's very easy to spiral after you slip. So some days it's more of a conscious effort. Other days I wake up and I'm like, I run this shit, we're good, like it's a good day. But yeah, absolutely, I have things around to and that's where the apparel came in, of like, you can have this and you can proudly wear and show everybody that yes, you're doing this and you're living this life.
Okay. We are who we surround ourselves with. And we have a lot of people, myself included, have naysayers all around us, trying to put us down, trying to say, oh, well, you should do this, the little chirping, the little Tweety birds, if you will. Yeah. Well, actually, I guess they would be more of a yipping dog. I like that analogy, because they don't stop in their high-pitched voices and everything to get you in your mind. How are your friends and your inner circle taking what are not so much their thoughts, but did they change to accommodate this new person and encourage it, or were there like a lot of questions of why you're doing this, or a mixture of both?
It was a mixture of both. My friend circle was very small. After there was a lot of, we won't go into the marriage issues,
Okay.
but I mean, we can, but it's just like, I feel like it's a whole nother show. But because of some of the choices I made to really try and work on my marriage at that point, I lost a lot of friends because I was pouring myself into that. So my friend circle was super small. After my mom passed in 2018, I found a group of women that really supported me and watched me go through this. And I still talk to a handful of them to this day, and they supported me in the entire way. I have had other people that are very much, when I first started this, like cut my hair, shave side of it, I had people asking other people, what's wrong with Jessie? Is she okay? And that's fair of them to ask. I was completely different than what I was. As far as naysayers, I have people that are just kind of blow me off on the idea of me having a business. I haven't had somebody really straight up come at me and be like, this is ridiculous. I can't believe you're doing this. But I'm sure it'll happen, or it can happen. And that's okay. That people don't know what they don't understand, and they don't have to understand me or like me.
Oh, well, that's a fair value, and we shouldn't, even though in this society and day and age we tend to lean upon some other what others, their impression of us are, but you're keeping true to yourself, which is amazing, and part of you and your brand. How do you feel about your brand? How do you feel about your company? How do you feel about knowing that you are doing this?
Honestly, I made it to the 1 year mark in, I think it was the end of October 25th, I believe, was just the 1 year mark for Beautiful Badass Life. And on that day I went, I really made it a year. Because a lot of what had been fed to me over several years was, oh, you'll just do it for now and then you'll quit. And so for me at that point, I was like, I'm doing it. I'm living it. I am doing the thing that I said I was going to do. And not only am I, producing apparel and shirts and mugs and things like that and helping, and coaching others, but I'm living it. And I wake up every day and I make choices to live this way because it's true to who I am, regardless of what has happened or what has been said in the past.
Okay. That's wonderful. October 25th seems to be something strange, a good connection between both of us, because that's the day I launched my first book. As
Hey,
crazy as that is.
that's pretty cool, actually.
So October 25th is a good day. I'm not gonna lie,
Absolutely.
for both of us. Now, when you were doing your branding, how did you research on how to build a brand? Where did you look for that? How did you get the inspiration to actually say, hey, I'm gonna actually make this mine, I'm gonna do this and make a business out of it? Because there's people out there right now, it's like, well, I have this idea but I don't know how to go about doing it.
I leveraged a lot of, a couple of my friends had their own businesses. A couple of family members have their own businesses. And I eventually joined like a business networking type group to where I could ask some questions as well. But Google did a lot of it.
Okay.
Google search bar can get you a long way. And so I did a lot of it through Google. I had a lot of questions that I asked my friends, but it was just a decision. Like, this is what I want to do. This is how it's going to happen. It's not like there's a book or anything on Google. It's like how to start a business in 10 steps, right? I mean, they might be, but you can look and find 10 different steps on 10 different websites. So it's a lot of moving pieces. And it's a lot of I just jumped in and started doing things. Did I do them in order? I have no idea. But did I do them in the way they're supposed to be done? I have no idea. But they're done and they're there, and we're moving.
Okay. Now, since everything's moving now and you're already in business for a year, I'll save a couple of these questions for later, but I want to go over to your personal coaching thing. Now, what made you decide to actually help women be a personal coach? And what's your philosophy on the personal coaching for your clients?
So there were a lot of people watching when I did and went through all of the stuff that I went through, a lot of people supporting and congratulating and, you go girls and all of those things. But, I realized that that's where it stopped. And while some women were watching and like, this is awesome, she's doing that, there was also a reservation of, I wish I could do that. And so I wanted people, particularly women, to understand that you can. Is it easy? No. Are there some hard steps and deep looks within yourself you got to do? Absolutely. But you know, that's just what we have to do. You can't, everything you want is one of my favorite quotes. Everything you want in your life is on the other side of the shit you don't want to do. So, you know, I want to help them get through that. No, we don't want to do it, but let's go through it together. We'll get you to that other side, because it's what you're wanting and it's what you're meant for. And so I just want to make sure that women understand that, like, you can do it on your own. You totally can, but know that there's support out there for you as well.
Okay. That's that is remarkable, because nobody really wants to do the work, but they want the end result. Have you been
Right.
seeing that more time and time again as you're meeting new people? Is it more or less the same things that's constantly happening when you're talking to new clients?
Lots of excuses that I see. I feel like it's kind of a little bit of a generational and time frame thing, as well as, you know, I have a 5-year-old and an 11-year-old, so they can make excuses for not doing anything. But I even find that with adults, where they will be like, you know, yes, this is what I want, but I can't have it because of X, Y, and Z. Well, everything's figure outable. You X, Y, and Z can be changed. I didn't like my career as a teacher, so I quit. I didn't have anything else lined up. I put a lot of faith in the fact that I was going to get myself something and make it work, and I did. So, you know, it's just getting through that stuff. And they have a lot of excuses. And usually when I hit excuses with people and they keep coming up, I try to shift to something else, because if they're going to continually give an excuse, they're not ready to tackle it.
Right.
However, I will tell you, if you're making excuses, if you're not ready to tackle this, that's fine. Let's move to something else and be productive. I'm not a huge coddler and hold your hand, but I'm gonna tell you how shit is too.
Ah, okay. So you're a realist. You're now you're present as well. So did you get I know a lot of my friends, quite a few of my friends went into teaching.
Mhm.
I've done teaching on a college level. I'll never go back to it. Honestly, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the coursework of what I was teaching and whatnot. I found that the extra work behind it was not justifying the means of getting everything across. And like you were saying, the political aspect of things, totally didn't want to deal with that anymore.
Right.
Now, how did you pull your prior experience as being a teacher and put that into work for what you're doing now?
So with teaching, it's a lot of planning. It's a lot of and specifically special education. So in a regular education classroom, you have curriculum, you have books to pull from, and a lot of times with special education and students with disabilities, you create that stuff on your own. You create what you need to meet the needs of your students. So essentially with coaching, I'm doing the same thing. I am creating the things that my clients need to make them successful. So we still set goals. We're still going to try and meet those goals. I'm still checking in to make sure that you're making progress on them. And I did all of that as a teacher as well. And the organization and planning of, you know, 20 students that I would have in a classroom and making sure all their needs are met, you know, it's actually a little easier when you're just doing clients one-on-one and not a whole class of how you're meeting everybody's needs. But yeah, that's so all of that stuff got brought over. It took me a little bit to figure that out. Teachers are very niche specific, and then we're taught language that's very specific, and we don't realize that a lot of the stuff that we do, like lesson planning and creating that content, translates to creating content for Instagram, or, you know, creating a course for somebody to go through or something like that. So it all really translated over very well. And I didn't realize how amazing the skills that I had could be applied to what I'm doing.
So even though you've quit the aspect of trading time for money, you're still using all of your gifts, all your talents, your purpose, your passion, and focusing somewhere else and actually doing it per task instead of time for money.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's it still feels like, because I will always say that I love teaching, and I did because I loved my students. Absolutely. And it was the hardest thing to walk away from, because of them.
mhm.
But, knowing that the skills that I have that serve them are still serving, what I would consider a greater purpose. Um, it's very comforting and very fulfilling to know that that's still working that way.
Okay. Now, you did talk about planning and prepping. How have you found yourself when you're doing the when you were creating your brand? Did you get stuck there? And were you, I know it happened to quite a bit of people. One of them is you stayed in there because that was kind of a comfort zone because you didn't want to take the next step, or did you just bull rush right through it to the China shop and just get to your finish line?
There was a little bit of both. There were times where I was stuck and I was like, this is not gonna happen. I'm just gonna give up, whatever. And then once I got a hold of what I really wanted, because when I started the brand, I was still working through some of my own stuff. So it was still very muddled on what exactly I was doing with it and what my purpose and my end goal with it was going to be. Coaching was not my goal with Beautiful Badass Life. It was not on the radar when I started it. It was going to be apparel, but then it just, as I was like, okay, you know what? But people don't understand the apparel because they're not living their beautiful badass life. So, we got to show them how to do that. And so that's when all of that, then I started barreling through, then I
Okay.
was getting a graphic designer to create my logo. And then I was, asking people, what do you do for, business licenses? What do you do for domain hosting, and all of that stuff. And then it started really coming around and I really had that idea and that brand nailed down.
Okay. And are you with the branding? This should actually, I'll wait till the follow up after our break. It's going to be coming soon, but not just yet. Just a little teaser of a question that I want to ask, and it's going to be quite interesting because it's going to lead into other topics as well. But as you're working through this right now, do you think you made the right choice of doing this?
Yeah, absolutely. Not a doubt in my mind. I mean, like that's it, legit. That's it.
Okay. No, I'm
Not
good
a
with
doubt in my mind. I am, I still have a 9 to 5 that I work,
Mhm.
but this
Okay.
is what fills me up. This is my purpose. This is where I'm meant to be. And these were the talents I was given for a reason.
Okay. And that, uh, see, now I know people and some of the listeners are out there, or maybe newer listeners that haven't heard this yet, but will hear this, is they're stuck in that spot right there. Now, if you could go back and tell yourself one piece of advice from now, what you went through back then before you're going through, what would it be?
Just do it already. I waited
Okay.
for a long time. I didn't take the step for a long time because I felt like I had to have a lot of things in check, and that's not true. You go and you can run and figure it out. It's totally doable.
Okay. Now, how did you, there's failures there, it's part of life. How did you conquer your failures, or the thought of, more importantly, how did you conquer your thought of failure?
Oh, that was hard. I am by nature an anxious person. And so the thought of failure and everything that could go wrong really likes to live in my head. But it's a constant battle. And I will tell myself all the time, you're going to fail. It's going to happen, not in a negative connotation. You will fail, but you're going to learn something from it. And everybody's like, oh, it's the whole silver lining thing. And that's true. I mean, it's yes, you failed, find the silver lining, but find the lesson. There's a reason that you failed. You can take something from it and try again differently. So it's all pivoting.
Okay. That's, yeah. Now that adage is way overused, and actually I think it's taken out of context quite a bit, because we're constantly looking up for something when we should be looking down and seeing what we're doing and figuring out what it is here instead of looking elsewhere.
Yeah. A lot of times those failures are because like you miss something, right?
Mhm.
It's like an assignment. You missed some punctuation, so you got docked some points. Okay, well, next time you won't miss that punctuation.
No, I completely that's a great analogy because we're all still learning.
Mhm.
Even though I felt, especially when I was doing job interviews, if I stop learning even for a day, I'm outdated and I'm inadequate, and someone else is going to take my job. And I'm sure you felt the same way too while teaching, and uh, you might even have that now, even with your.
A little bit, yeah. It's the coaching world, I really separate my 9 to 5 and
Mhm.
my brand, right?
Okay.
So my 9 to 5 is my 9 to 5. It pays the bills, it does the stuff, right?
Right.
But my brand, like you get nervous about things, and coaching. So, it's very, what's the word I'm looking for here? There's a lot of people in coaching. It's flooded, right?
It's saturated. It's
Thank you. I
becoming
knew it was
saturated.
something. Yes, it's a saturated market. And so to still be like, yes, I'm still doing what I meant to do, I feel like that's good. Saturated or not. It's not about doing it like someone else, it's doing it like me.
Mhm.
And that's what's going to help people, is me doing coaching my way and not the
Right.
way everybody else does it.
That's, yes, you have to be. I agree. You have to be unique at something, and you need to, like you were saying before, our gifts. We got to play into our gifts so we can actually get further. Because once we start fighting them, one, we lose time, energy, and possibly potential. Our potential is
Mhm.
being lost because we're sitting there doing something we're not really supposed to be doing. But unfortunately, well, not really. Unfortunately, Jesse, we're halfway through the show. So
What?
yeah, we are halfway through the show already. We have to take a quick break. Thank you, my listeners, for listening. Jesse, thank you for being here. We're gonna take a quick break, but when we come back, I have some questions that I want to clarify, especially after we got done this segment. So everybody, we're gonna take a break and we'll be right back.
You're clear.
Thank you.
Oh man, did you hear my son?
Yeah, it was funny. It's like, really?
Sitting here snapping at him like, quit.
Quick, throw him a donut.
Yeah. What is it, that movie Monsters Inc., where they like throw Cheerios at the little girl? I feel, or like that's kind of what I feel like I'm doing. Just go do that. That's fine.
I'll clean it up later. Don't worry
Yeah.
about it.
It's exactly what it is. Eat, drink, whatever you want. Mommy will fix it later. It's okay.
We covered a lot in a short amount of time, and we went through, yeah, pretty much a good bit of the gambit. Is there anything you want to talk about in the second half?
Mm, no, I'm kind of an open book. Whatever you want to ask, I'll do my best to answer.
Okay, well, it's working so far.
Yeah.
It's working very well so far.
I, I get asked, again, teaching, I got asked all kinds of questions all the time. So you have kids that ask all kinds of questions.
Yes, what was that? Kindergarten Cop with Schwarzenegger when he got all those questions?
Yes. Oh, such a good movie.
I agree. They don't make movies like that anymore. They're butchering our movies and trying to do remakes.
I know. I wish they would stop it.
Yes, and politically correct stuff. Yeah. Wasn't
Yeah.
supposed to be that way.
No, it was offensive on purpose. That's why it was funny.
Yeah.
Come back.
You're listening to Making More Money for You with Magnus Carter. If you have any questions for Magnus or his guests, join us on the show at 866-472-5789. That's 866-472-5789. Now back to the show. Here is Magnus Carter.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the show. And if you're tuning in, welcome to the show. If you're just tuning in, you definitely want to watch or listen to the first half of the show, because there's a lot of tidbits in there about branding, what it takes to actually start a business, the mindset, the emotional value of everything, how to deal with do with or without the naysayers, depending on how you want to classify it. But this half of the show, we're going to focus more on the same subject, but we're going to go a little bit in more detail of now and possibly the future. And to do that, I have Jesse Clark. Welcome back, Jesse.
Yes, this has been fun. I'm excited to see what you got for me in the second half here, Magnus.
Oh boy. Yes, that when people start saying that, it gets quite interesting because it is unscripted, this show. Well, this show is especially is because when we were talking, when I first reached out to you to be this, I read your profile. I did my homework, of course, of why I wanted you to be the person to talk about personal branding is because you're taking it to a different level and making it personable. I love the fact that you actually you are the person that you are promoting, and you don't have a spokesman doing it, and you don't have tons of other false things out there that don't do your brand justice, honestly. So I definitely commend you on that. And for that, it takes a lot to do that in this day and age because the whole political scene and all that garbage and what society has actually become. But to get back into branding is, how do you see your brand actually moving forward? You're in business for a year. You started from nothing. You started becoming the brand. But how do you see the brand evolving, or what do you see on the horizon? What are you looking to do for this year?
Well, for 2023, I'm going to start actually group coaching. So instead of just one-on-ones, because some people are not comfortable in a one-on-one setting. And I was not when I began my journey of transformation from who I was to who I am now. It started in a group setting, and one-on-ones were super uncomfortable for me. I felt like I was being judged constantly. I felt, just very down on myself and very unsure of myself. So I'm super excited because in 2023, I'll start group coaching, which I know will allow women to come in and just feel a community around them and a safety to be and release and do the things, say some things that need to get off their chest that maybe they haven't been able to before. And, and after group coaching, obviously there's going to be some new apparel drops in there and things like that. Some new sassy coffee mugs. I love my sassy coffee mugs. I think my favorite one I have right now says, "I am my own sugar daddy." And it's on the website, but it's my favorite. And, so, and as that grows, eventually we're talking like potential 5-year plan here, depending on growth. I would love to do meetups and getaway weekends and like in person. Let's be the people that we say we want to be and actually act that out and see how that feels. Let's live this life and know that we have a badass community around us to support us in this life.
Okay. Well, Jimmy Buffett does have a song about that. We are the people that our parents warned us about. So becoming those people, which is good. It's actually finding your true self, your own personal self, which I can definitely commend. And that's going to be fun to see as it unravels. Now, as you're doing your business, one question I do have, I know a couple of my guests started getting their children involved in businesses. So what's your take on getting your children involved in a business instead of doing the 9 to 5? Because you've been through the 9 to 5. We've all been, all been through it. There's pros and cons of everything. But at this time and right now, what are your thoughts about that? Of course, they're going to change before and after, but as of now.
As of now, I'm all for it. I have had just mentors and stuff, over the last year that have said I should get my kids more involved in my brand. My problem, I won't say problem, my concern with having my kids involved in my brand is it has the word badass in it. And so I don't want my 5 or 11-year-old running around with that on a shirt. But recently I did do a bit of a shift, and I did a mom and mini series of hoodies so that because we do have badass kids. I do have badass kids. Do they drive me nuts? Absolutely. But I love them and they are badasses because they're mine. And so, you know, I can shift that business or that verbiage, you know, there's no badass on there for the kids, but you know, they're still supporting and showing you know, the rock on school hand for a beautiful badass life. And, you know, that's letting them be a part of what I do. And because you know, the cool thing about kids and having a business, and my daughter's 11, and so because I've done all this over the last year, she's taking up some of her own little entrepreneurial skills, and she's trying her hat at different things. So, you know, it's just really cool because they watch, and then she sees me take these chances and fail or be successful, and she feels okay and safe to do the same.
That's amazing, because this day and age, they're trying to tell us, they meaning everybody out there, the media and people that want to control us, want us to live in the little bubbles.
Yeah.
I don't like bubbles. I'm not a fan of bubbles. One thing that I found out while I was making my brand, the Making More Money for You brand, is my coaches. I'll never forget this. Is my coaches said, "Why would you make a brand like that?" I'm like, "Well, why not? It's exactly what I'm trying to get people to do. Is the knowledge that I'm giving people actually." People are asking for, and I'm delivering to with my guests, such as yourself, the books, media, and interviews I do, is even the littlest tidbits are getting somebody the information they need to get to that next step.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that doing it with your coaching, and I'm sure you see that quite a bit. So when is a good time to start a brand?
Whenever you have the little desire, fire, whatever you want to call it, that little spark, just go ahead and give it a start. I would, you know, make sure that I wouldn't even say you have to make sure of anything. Like, you want to start a brand, cool. It's a process. So what's your brand going to be for? What are you going to do with it? You know, it's not, a lot of people think personal brands sometimes, and they start getting into graphics and fonts, and immediately they want the fun and pretty stuff, and that's great. And you have to go there. You have to have that stuff eventually. But if your brand does not have a purpose, it's just pretty letters on a shirt, or pretty letters on the internet, or a cool sign on, you know, on your page. So it's, you know, if you want to start a personal brand, I would say go for it. Just make sure you have some purpose behind it, or know what you want, where you're wanting it to go.
Okay. So we need to know where it goes. We need to know the purpose of it. You also have to have the passion to push it. Am I right?
You do. And that's where a lot of people won't take it much farther, because it is a lot of work, and, you know, it's money out of your pocket. You don't start making, I mean, it's not, it's not a, you know, it's not even trade. It is money out of your pocket until you become profitable. Right. So, and you have to be ready to take that risk. You have to be ready and willing to do that. And if you're not, it's okay. You can still write down, you know, one of the things I tell my clients is, you know, you have your stuff for what you're wanting to do, and then you have stuff that maybe you want to do later. So if it's not in your cards for right now, put it in a notebook for later. And then when you're ready, you pull it back out and go, oh yeah, I had these ideas. Oh yeah, I had this going on. And, you know, and then that comes back, and then you're ready to take those steps a little bit further.
Absolutely. It becomes a giant jigsaw puzzle. You're not sure how it works or if it's going to work, but you have all these pieces scattered everywhere, and you don't. Now, did you do trial and error when you picked up your pieces and tried to put your puzzle together? Or did you, I know you did a lot of planning before, but did you go outside your planning at some points and just try something different?
Yeah, I still do. My puzzle is not complete.
Oh, no.
I don't think my puzzle will ever be complete. I think new pieces keep getting added, and I'm like, oh, how's this one gonna work in there? We'll figure it out.
It's like, well, or someone took a piece of the puzzle. It's like, oh, that person's the piece of the puzzle. It's like, now I understand what needs to be done.
Mhm.
Now, how much do you value your network now? Because a lot of people tend to push that off, and it's like, oh, well, that's time. I'll talk to them later or whatever. But how do you react? How do you, I guess the word would be, still interact with your network?
Networking, 100% is hard for me. As somebody who was just naturally from my own choices before I made this, change into who I am and this brand. I stayed at home with the kids and I didn't go out. I really didn't have very many friends or anything like that. So for me to go out and meet people was very very much social anxiety, right?
Okay.
So I'm getting over that. I'm working on
Okay.
that. That's something I'm still working on. I currently have I network and talk to people online. It's much easier, but I branched out at this last month and I now have a network group here locally where I live that I meet up with in person a few times a month. And so that's been really nice. And one thing I realized is that how much, while the internet is amazing and it brings us to some great people and great connections, there's really not a whole lot that can replace that in-person connection,
Right.
especially after we were all locked in our houses for COVID. I feel like that, that personal connection, that in-person connection is so much more valuable than it used to be. Where I used to be scared of it, now I'm excited for it
Okay.
because it's, networking is not just here's what I can do. It's more of how can I help you? How can we get you further? What value can I bring for you? And if you continue to bring value to those people, they're going to bring value to you. And it's just a great community and a way of meeting people and supporting each other.
No, I 100,000% agree with you on that. It's still hard to do it because it's always that fear. I guess it is not really a fear, but an anxiety of rejection
Mm-hmm.
of it.
Absolutely. That
Because
is like, no, sorry, I was saying that you're spot on. You're spot on. It's fear of rejection, right? That's why it was easier for me to stay home with the kids. The kids had to like me and love me. I'm the mom.
Yeah, you're the one cooking the food and whatnot, so it's like you
Exactly.
had to be. And also paying the Netflix subscription, so it had to be okay.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's always that of it's amazing how over time we forget how to do the simple things, like how to meet people. When we were kids, I'm sure you see with your children now. I seen what of my friends' children and my nephew and stuff. It's so easy then to make friends, but
Mhm.
as you can see it as they grow older, when they graduate, grade school, go to middle school, high school, whichever it was, go to college, we become awkward. Honestly,
Yes.
we're growing backwards like Benjamin Button here. It's like we're aging. It's like we're not supposed to be doing that. We're supposed to be going out and conquering the world. And one thing that I will attest with this is I was not really good at public speaking till still working on that aspect of it, but I feel more at ease doing this now, and it's constantly getting better and easier and easier. And I attribute that to one, I'm out of my comfort zone. I don't have a comfort zone anymore. I kind of threw
Mhm.
that mentality out of my brain. But as to seeing and meeting new people, I'm with you. I'm more excited about it because I'm like, oh well, this person messaged me to be on the show. I'm like, well, I'm not really too sure. And once they start talking, and we get to know each other, it's truly amazing. On Because we're like before during COVID and whatnot, all we had to really rely on was text messaging, and text
Yeah.
messaging can mean anything when you put it on a piece of paper.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, kind of to speak to your how we get awkward and things like that, I think that's because it goes back to your bubble statement. We're expected to be in a bubble.
Mhm.
And those of us that have popped that bubble aren't real sure how to handle ourselves around everyone else.
Right.
because it is awkward you don't know if somebody else has popped their bubble or if they're living in the bubble and loving it. So it's just, it becomes then this situation of you don't know how to conduct, not necessarily how to conduct yourself, but you're just unsure of yourself and how to present it. So what I'm currently, the way I would handle it is, like, if you want to live in the bubble, cool, do your thing. It's you, and that's what's making you happy. That's absolutely fine. You want to live outside the bubble and do your own damn thing. Cool. I'm for you too, as long as you're not hurting me, my friends or my kids, whatever, we're cool. Right. But,
Yeah.
it's that expectation of we're supposed to be doing these things and we don't want to do those things makes us feel like we're doing something wrong. And we're not. It's just that that's what society has placed on us.
Mhm.
And we've kind of want to tell society that's not how we want to do things. And so it becomes a little bit nerve-wracking because we're standing up for ourselves, right? It's almost confrontational.
Oh, to add to that is the people that were in the same bubble with us, they're trying to push us out of our bubble. Or
Mhm.
actually, well, not really push us out, actually keep us in the bubble. Because it's like when I was talking to another friend, another coach of mine, colleague that is a coach, let me rephrase that, is they want to keep you there because that's the devil they know. That's the
Mhm.
person they know, that they don't want to know the unknown. That's another thing is even when we're making a brand, we don't know how it's going to be perceived. We don't have the playbook on, okay, in 5 years this brand is going to be null and void, and it's going to be completely something different than what you set out for it to be. Now with that, and with that scenario, how you as a personal brand owner and brand builder, how do you keep that on track?
It's how I will evolve,
Okay.
right? So if I'm evolving, the brand evolves a bit. And I know people that have their own businesses and brands and they've changed things 2, 3, 4 times. But it's just as it becomes more authentic and more known, I want it to feel that way. I'm
Mhm.
not going to put something, I am the brand.
Okay.
So I'm not going to put something out that doesn't feel authentic. And so to me, or the brand. So if I'm evolving and things are shifting, then the brand's probably going to shift a little bit too. And that's okay because I've met my people in this space and done what I was called to do in this space. And if I'm evolving, I'm meeting new people in a new
Mhm.
space and, adding value there too. So
Yeah.
I don't see it as a negative thing if things tend to shift. It's just that it's a shift.
Okay. Yeah. The classic one of the classic examples are rock stars, musicians.
Yeah.
I love music, and I love a lot of I can pretty much listen to everything out there, and I do it. I don't like some things, don't get me wrong, especially with certain artists, but there's so much flack about when artists change.
Mhm.
One of the biggest ones that I can think of in my time frame is Metallica.
Yeah.
If we can take a look at that, their brand changed. Their brand from heavy speed metal, hard rock, everything, to change to more or less a hard rock type, and then to go out and do the S&M stuff with the orchestra. And everything after that is kind of like, for me, it kind of nosedive is because it didn't suit what I wanted anymore.
Mhm. But they've met a new group of people that appreciate them in a different way now,
This is true.
right? So it works for them.
Right.
And I feel like it all serves a purpose in the moment and time that it's meant to. And then as you get bored or change or do things, then you know what? Then it changes. And then, like I said, you have a new group of people that you get to meet. You have a new group of followers that, support you. And, maybe they'll go back and like some of the old stuff, or maybe they'll go back and be like, no, I'm glad you all switched.
Yeah, you're right. And uh I don't, I was never really a big Metallica fan. I was always Megadeth. It's always either or, and you can never be both type of thing. Because Dave Mustaine stayed true to himself. he's constantly doing the same thing. He's putting albums out one after another, and he's still building the brand up. And that's
Mhm.
what I've, that's my personal opinion about it is he's the better band. And this is going to cause some controversy, and I love it because controversy triggers debate, which in a good way, it triggers uh, creativity and productivity.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I'm not gonna jump on your controversy train. I'm gonna let the followers do that for you, or the listeners. Um, but no, I don't disagree with you.
Okay. Now, out of all the things that you've done with your brand, what is the biggest satisfying thing that the brand has brought to you?
Oh, that is brought to me. It's brought me a peace within myself. And I know that might sound cliche and things like that, but it really has, because when I really got to the heart of the brand and what it is right now, and I looked at where it all started, when this transformation that started with my mom in 2018 after she passed, I look at what the brand stands for and what I am. My mom was the original beautiful badass.
Okay.
Never placed her there. Never. Until I got through all my other stuff and I was just like, holy shit. She was the original. So the fact that I have this brand and this whole push of like women can do these things. My mom was a single mom too.
Mhm.
And it's kind of like a full circle moment for me. And it's very peaceful for me. It's very fulfilling for me. And it just lets me know, like, I'm doing my heart work. These are things I am meant to do. And it really is an amazing feeling.
Okay. Wow. That is inspirational. I'm not gonna lie. The way that coming full circle, especially with a brand, and you're now evolving the brand to as you see fit and bringing it. And Jesse, we're at the end of the show.
Seriously?
Yeah, we are at the end of the show. So what I like to do now is, how can how can this audience get a hold of you for either apparel, for personal coaching, to reach out to you, uh, more questions about you and your branding and stuff? Where can we find you?
I have a website, beautifulbadasslife.com. That houses the apparel. It has coaching stuff as well as a way to email me. And then if you just want to see what kind of inspirational and sometimes crazy shit I come up with, I'm on Instagram. It's at Beautiful Badass Life. And so I'm over there as well. And that's kind of where I live between those two things right now.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your time. I know you're dealing with some personal stuff today, getting over, flu season and all that stuff, but I appreciate your time. Thank you for being on the show. Uh, as I'm winding down the show, next week, I'm going to have Trey Taylor on the show, and we're going to talk about how he actually runs his business as a family business. How
Nice.
it is. It's we're not talking Corleone family here, everybody. We're talking about how to actually get everybody involved with it, how to make it grow, and how to actually make generational wealth. But until then, go out there, find something about yourself, find one fact about yourself, and be true to it for 2 days and see if you like it. Until next time, Jesse, thank you for tuning in.
Thank you so
Actually, for
much.
being here. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. And we're going to go right now, and we'll catch you next week.
Thank you, Magnus.
You are clear.
Awesome.
All right. You all have a wonderful week. We'll talk to you next time.
All right. Thanks,
Thanks.
Josh. So what'd you think about the show as your
Dude,
first live radio show?
that was so fun. That was fun. Thank
Yeah.
you for this experience. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. I'm glad. I know you were very anxious and apprehensive about it when we first talked, and you can tell because you couldn't stay in frame. You were constantly over here and you were over here. I was afraid to get whiplash.
Yes, I'm standing. That's why I was like, I can't sit and do these things. So I lifted the desk up and I have to stand when I do it.
Okay. It worked out quite well. Is there anything that we didn't really get to on the show that you wanted to tell somebody? Because I'm still recording right now and they can actually get it on the YouTube video.
Um, you know, I think we covered quite a bit of things. The only thing that I realized that is also on my plan for Beautiful Badass Life that I kind of forgot because I'm so excited to talk to you and I have all of
Thank
these
you.
things to say. But I'm really excited to start exploring public speaking, like as far as more on podcasts or radio shows. Really looking to get like some on-stage opportunities, which is going to be, I think, a lot of fun. As part of where the group coaching comes in, so we can kind of get those wheels turning and things like that. But like, I am ready. I am so excited. You get this feeling and you just know that like you're doing the things you're supposed to be doing. And like, I can just feel this thing of like, I'm so excited because like, I'm going to help people, and it may be in a one-on-one session and it may be in an auditorium full of people. And either way, like it's just so exciting.
Now, think about this now. You were live worldwide. Right now on this past show, you were worldwide and you're actually going to be rebroadcasted 5 or 6 times on Voice
Awesome.
America. And then on top of that, this episode is going to go on to iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Google, Apple Play, and 3 other ones, and I can never remember them. But
It's okay.
it's going to be downloadable. So if you want to talk to somebody or have anything, I'm going to get you the links over so you can actually promote this. You can put this on. We can actually get you. I'll get you the link. They can actually put this show on your website. Your web
Oh,
developer can put it right
awesome.
there, and it will constantly play over and over again.
That's amazing. Yes, absolutely. My web developer. I am the web developer, Magnus.
See?
Um, I am all the things right now.
Oh, I understand that.
But thank you for thinking so highly of me.
Gee.
No, that's cool. That's super exciting. I'm super, again, like I just am super grateful that you reached out and super grateful that you allowed me on your show because it means a lot.
Oh, I absolutely. It was just when I came onto your profile, I'm like, and no word of a lie, as I said it on the show, it's like, this is the person I want to do the branding with. This is how I want to start this branding because it's no nonsense. You are true. It's everything that I actually stand behind and promote on the show and for the guests. So it's wonderful. And this is a beautiful segue into what's coming at the end of the month. I will make sure you get a link to that. Even if you don't listen to it live, fine. But Justine she has taken and worked with the top brands to take them even higher.
I saw what you put her on Instagram. I think I saw on your Instagram and I was like, ooh, I need to mark my calendar for that one.
Yeah. And it's the same way I reached out to you. I reached out to her, and different ways, of course. But it's amazing. I didn't put this show together all at the same time. This was a jigsaw puzzle, and this
Wow.
whole month, from last week with Elena Fernandez about single mom being positive and getting through and getting more women involved in entrepreneurship and business owning, to getting a personal brand and what to do and how to make a personal brand. And next week with Trey, that I met through Tommy Breedlove, we're talking about doing family businesses now and then taking it to the next level. I couldn't have picked these shows in any even if I had a dartboard, I couldn't do this. So I know
It's all meant to be.
it's all meant to be. And I'm very thankful that you are a part of it. And I'm gonna stop right here because I had some questions